Something none of us will forget is after the Royal Rumble in 1998, the very next day, that's where we see Stone Cold Steve Austin have his confrontation with Mike Tyson. This goes viral and gets headlines everywhere. Of course, we know Mike Tyson had been suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission after biting Evander Holyfield's ear. He's going to be unable to have a sanctioned fight. But that's what the scuttlebutt in the media becomes. Will the Nevada State Athletic Commission, headed up by Mark Ratner, allow, friend of JR's, by the way, allow Mike Tyson to compete at WrestleMania? That was the speculation once upon a time that we were going to get Mike Tyson versus Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14. Was that ever even discussed, Jim, that you recall? I mean, we know what wound up happening. He's the enforcer and he's going to side with Austin and all that. But was it ever discussed, like, what if he did some physicality?
Yeah, it was. Casually, it was discussed that we'd have Austin versus Tyson, but it just, Steve wasn't physically up to the challenge, and Tyson wasn't prepared to be a competitor. So we did the best we could. We gave Mike a role, and a role that made people talk, and made Austin react. Ironically, their first confrontation was in Fresno, California.
Yeah.
And I remember it well. Now it brought back a lot of memories because AEW was there this past week, and when I was there, so I enjoyed that little memory lane type thing, but it packs. The tickets for Fresno were hard to come by. The lines were long. It was just amazing how that worked out. So, it would have been a cool thing to have Austin versus Tyson, but we did the next best thing we could, and made him an enforcer, and then eventually showed that Tyson was not a heel. He turned babyface with Austin, and it worked out famously.
It was what a media sensation it was. I don't think we can give the proper context now what a megastar Mike Tyson was. It was on ESPN, it was on Sports Center, it was on Fox Sports. The Associated Press had it. The USA Today was speculating about it. I mean, Tyson really shined a spotlight on WWE that they hadn't had at that point in years. Would that be fair to say?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was chaotic and exciting, and Mike loved it. Mike's become a good friend of mine over the years. He's appeared in AEW several times, which we always appreciate and enjoy. But he was Mike was very cooperative. He was very ready to do whatever role was there. Mike would have wrestled Stone Cold if Stone Cold would have been amenable to it, but Steve knew better, and he didn't, and that never came to fruition. But what we did was with Austin and Tyson worked. Like you said, every media outlet in the country was covering it. Everybody was interested in what was going to happen, and so it worked out well. Mike gets it. He understood what the business was about, and he played the game. So it worked out pretty damn good. I was glad to be a part of it. I wish in a perfect world, Connie, we would have had Austin and Tyson, but that wasn't going to work. Steve was leery of that particular booking, and so he wanted to do something else, and we did.
We should mention that this episode of Monday Night Raw with Mike Tyson and Stone Cold Steve Austin does the largest rating for Monday Night Raw since the Monday Night Wars started. It did a 4.0. That's off of a 3.78 first hour and a 4.23 second hour. It peaks with the final 15 minutes, of course, with Tyson and Austin. That pulls down a 4.7 rating. That's really phenomenal. It's got to be high fives all around. Whenever Vince would make a big bet like this, and I don't pretend to know the financial involvement and what this cost to get Mike Tyson. The company wasn't public. It was never disclosed. Did you ever hear a number, that Vince would have invested in Mike Tyson to make an appearance like this?
I know that it was in the thousands.
It wasn't millions.
I don't think so.
Wow. Okay.
But I know that we kept, and the original piece of business was Tyson needed X dollars, whatever it was, so many $1,000. But he kept coming back for more money, and that was a little bit, a little disgusting because you made a deal, but Tyson was needing more money. At the end of the day, he needed more money to buy a fucking motorcycle. Like what?
Wait. You remember him asking for more money to buy a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, that was Mike. And the irony was he got the money. We wanted to keep him happy as we could.
Sure.
But in order to do that, we needed to make sure that we could continue to fill his pockets full of cash. And as long as we did that, everything worked out just fine.
When Vince makes a big bet like this and he's got a new investment for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I want to remind everybody, we're just 2 months removed from Bret Hart leaving because Vince couldn't afford his contract. And now he's making a huge financial commitment to Mike Tyson. These days, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but back then, this was a major risk for Vince McMahon. When the ratings come in and you realize that this is our best rating since the Monday Night War started, when we were head to head, Nitro did a 4.04, Raw was a 3.84 in the head to head portion. It feels like a vote of confidence that, my goodness, we're on to something. We got a hit here. Was it high fives all around when Vince's big bet paid off and these ratings came in?
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember that being a good day at the office. The ratings were amazing. And Mike popped the number. So that was the bottom line. You had Mike Tyson as a part of the WWE in a very unique way, but that popped a number, and that's what we were looking for. Everything we needed to have happen happened.
We got to talk about Don King. I don't know, what's real and what's not. Was Don King ever involved in this deal at all? Because he was synonymous for years with Mike Tyson. I know they had a very public falling out. Do you remember Mike Tyson being involved in this deal?
I mean Don King?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Don King.
No, absolutely not. Don was, he was always lurking in the shadows, so to speak, but he was never tremendously involved. He wasn't involved in the decision making or the creative. That was us working with Mike directly, and Mike loved the company. He loved the pro wrestling world, and how could I best serve the company was his philosophy, and that's what we did. We came up with the enforcer deal. It worked out. It's going to work out fine. We got to use Tyson, but without having him wrestle. Think about that a little bit. We got to use Tyson as a player in this angle without him wrestling. That was all Vince and Shane. Shane was involved in a lot of this stuff with Mike because Mike needed a caretaker, to be honest with you. And so we had Shane there, and Shane did a great job. He don't get the credit for it, but Shane did a great job in his role within the company of guiding Mike along and making sure Mike was happy, and Mike was happy. He was involved, and he tuned in. So Mike was fun to work with. I know I did an interview with him. It's kind of a lost interview. I don't know where it is, but there was an interview out there where I talked to Mike and did his interview, and it worked out beautifully. Mike Tyson was born for the pro wrestling business, and he did a great job for us. A question. And then his reveal at the end of the story was chaotic and amazing. It worked out fine. So
Yeah, it did, but it didn't look like it at first. This
that's
whole
right.
Mike Tyson Don King thing is going to come to a head on the way to WrestleMania.